Aiden Reed was just a simple human engineer on the Royal Starship Aurelia. He was quiet, careful, and always followed rules. Every night, after the ship went silent, he stayed late to fix broken systems. He liked the peace. He liked the empty halls. And he especially liked the giant star-view window near the throne chamber. But tonight, someone else was standing there. Princess Lyrie, the alien princess feared across the galaxy, watched the stars with slow, calm breaths. Her silver eyes glowed softly. Her long wings folded behind her like living light. She stood alone, without guards, without noise, without her usual royal shield. Aiden's steps slowed. His heart beat faster. He had admired her from a distance ever since he joined the ship. She was graceful but strong, cold but mysterious. People said she did not smile. People said she did not speak to humans. But Aiden saw something different in her eyes, a quiet sadness, like she carried a weight she could not share. He never planned to speak to her. He never planned to stand this close. He definitely never planned to say what he said next. But loneliness has a strange power, and silence makes a man honest. He looked at her glowing figure, then at the stars behind her, and whispered under his breath, "I wish I could be with her." He believed no one heard him. He believed the halls swallowed his words. He believed his whisper was safe. He was wrong. Princess Lyrie slowly turned her head. Her silver eyes locked onto him. Aiden's breath stopped. His body froze. His mind screamed, "Please say she didn't hear that. Please." But she took one soft step toward him. Her voice was gentle but sharp, like a blade wrapped in silk. "I heard you, human." Aiden felt all the air leave his chest. His hands shook. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He wanted to run, apologize, disappear, anything, but his legs refused to move. Lyrie tilted her head slightly, studying him as if he were a strange new creature. "You speak your heart when you think no one is watching," she said softly. "Most humans do not." Aiden opened his mouth again, ready to deny everything, ready to beg forgiveness. But the ship suddenly shook. Lights flickered. Metal groaned. Sirens exploded through the hall. Aiden grabbed a support beam as the floor tilted. Lyrie spread her wings instantly, reacting with reflexes faster than any human soldier. "What's happening?" Aiden shouted. Lyrie's eyes narrowed. "We are under attack." The ceiling panels burst open as black shadows crawled through the vents. Their eyes glowed like burning coals. Their claws dripped poison. Shadow hunters. Creatures that hunted royal blood. Aiden's heart pounded. "They're here for you." Lyrie stepped beside him instead of fleeing. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Human, you spoke a wish from your heart." She reached out and grabbed his wrist. "Now prove it. Stay with me." With enemies closing in, the quiet engineer realized something terrible and beautiful. His whisper had changed his entire life. The shadow hunters dropped from the ceiling like living darkness. Their bodies were thin and sharp, with long arms and claws that clicked against the metal floor. Their red eyes locked instantly on Princess Lyrie. They didn't care about the ship. They didn't care about Aiden. They only cared about her. Aiden pulled Lyrie back. "We have to run." But Lyrie stood firm, wings half open, ready to fight. She tried to summon energy into her hands. Silver fire that usually burned brighter than any weapon. Tonight, nothing happened. Her eyes widened in shock. "The air, they've poisoned the ship's filters. My powers are weak." Aiden's stomach twisted. A princess with no power was just a target. The hunters screeched and charged. Aiden grabbed her arm and pulled her into the hallway. "Come on. I know a safe path." She followed, but her steps were slower than normal. Her breathing grew heavy as the toxins spread through the air. The lights above them flickered like dying stars. Behind them, claws scraped metal as the hunters chased. Aiden led her into a maintenance corridor he knew from his engineering routes. It was narrow, dim, and full of old pipes. The hunters struggled to squeeze through, buying them a few seconds. Lyrie leaned against the wall. Sweat formed on her forehead. Her wings drooped. "You saved me," she said softly. Aiden shook his head. "No, I'm just doing what anyone would do." "No," Lyrie whispered. Humans do not run toward danger for someone they barely know. Aiden almost laughed. You heard me say something stupid. Now I'm just trying not to die. Her eyes softened for a moment, but the sound of metal bending snapped them both back to fear. The hunters were forcing their way in. Aiden quickly opened a panel, pulled out a heavy tool, a plasma wrench, and held it like a weapon. He knew it wasn't designed for fighting, but right now it was all he had. Lyrie stared at him. You plan to fight with that? It's either this, Aiden said, or we just stand here. The first hunter broke through, hissing. Its claws slashed the air inches from Aiden's face. Aiden swung the wrench with all his strength. The tool smashed into the creature's jaw, sending sparks and black smoke flying. It wasn't dead, but it was stunned. Aiden grabbed Lyrie's hand. This way. They ran again, through emergency tunnels, through collapsing doors, through rising smoke. The hunters followed, growing angrier, louder, faster. Lyrie stumbled. Aiden caught her before she fell. You're getting worse, he said. The toxin weakens my bond with energy, Lyrie whispered. Soon, I will not even stand. Aiden swallowed hard. Then I have to get you to the core chamber. It has clean air. Lyrie looked at him with something he didn't expect. Trust. You know this ship well, she said. Better than my guards. They don't crawl inside walls to fix things, Aiden said. Suddenly, a hunter blocked their path from the front. Another crawled from behind. They were trapped. Lyrie squeezed Aiden's hand, not in fear, but in warning. Aiden, she whispered. They will not let me live. Aiden stepped in front of her, shaking but determined. Then they'll have to go through me first. For the first time, the princess looked at a human not with distance, but with hope. Aiden stood between Princess Lyrie and the two shadow hunters. His hand shook, but he kept the plasma wrench raised. His heart beat, so fast it felt painful. He knew he wasn't a soldier. He knew he wasn't trained. But Lyrie was weakening by the second, and someone had to protect her. The hunters hissed. Their claws glowed with a poison that melted metal. They moved slowly, enjoying the fear they created. Lyrie grabbed Aiden's shoulder. Her voice was soft but serious. Aiden, you cannot fight both of them. There is something you need to know. Aiden didn't look back. Not now. There is no later, she whispered. Her tone made him turn his head for a second. Her silver eyes were dimming. Her wings trembled. Her strength, her royal power, was fading faster than before. Aiden lowered his voice. What's happening to you? Lyrie swallowed. The toxin is not the only reason. I carry a burden. A secret. One hunter stepped closer. Lyrie continued quickly. I am not just a princess. I am the chosen star. My life is tied to an ancient weapon. It awakens only with my energy, and it drains me every day. Aiden's chest tightened. Drain you? How much? Lyrie looked away. Enough that I have only a few days left. Aiden froze. A few days? The entire galaxy thought she was untouchable, powerful, eternal. But she was dying quietly, carrying a secret only a few knew. And these creatures, she continued, they want me because only I can activate the weapon. Without me, the Empire falls. With me, they gain control of everything. Aiden felt anger rise inside him, not at her, but the world that forced her to carry this alone. He stepped closer to her. You should have told someone. Humans are fragile, Lyrie whispered. I did not want you frightened. Aiden almost laughed. I'm already terrified. The hunter screeched, annoyed at being ignored. Aiden tightened his grip on the wrench. If you only have days left, I'm not letting them take even 1 minute. Lyrie's eyes softened with something he had never seen before, fear mixed with gratitude. Aiden, why do you care so much? He didn't know how to answer. Maybe it was her strength. Maybe it was her loneliness. Maybe it was the whisper he never meant to say aloud. Before he could respond, one hunter lunged. Aiden barely dodged, swinging the wrench hard. Sparks burst from the hunter's jaw. It stumbled back with a metal-like scream. The second hunter jumped toward Lyrie. Aiden moved faster than he ever had. He pushed Lyrie aside and took the hit on his arm. Pain shot through him, but he didn't stop. He kicked the creature, blocking its path. Lyrie stared at him, shocked. Aiden, you're hurt. It's fine, he gasped. I can still move. The hunters regrouped, angrier now. Aiden whispered, we need a plan. Lyrie nodded weakly. There's a vent behind you. A narrow one. Humans can fit. They cannot. Aiden found the vent panel and ripped it open. Go, he said. Lyrie tried to step forward, but her legs shook. Aiden lifted her into the vent gently. The hunters charged. Aiden followed her inside just as claws slashed the wall inches behind him. Inside the dark vent, Lyrie whispered, Aiden, humans don't risk this much. Aiden crawled ahead, breathing hard. I'm not humans. I'm me. And for the first time, Lyrie smiled, small, weak, but real. The narrow vent was dark, cold, and shaking from every impact the hunters made outside. Aiden crawled first, guiding the weak princess behind him. Every few seconds, echoes of claws scraping metal followed them, reminding him that the hunters were not giving up. Lyrie's breathing grew uneven. Her strength was fading fast. Aiden, she whispered, you should leave me. Humans cannot fight these creatures. If they catch you. He cut her off. I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not ever. Lyrie stared at his back, confused. No soldier, no guard, no advisor had ever spoken to her like that. Not with duty, but with something else. Something real. Something warm. But the vent suddenly split open ahead of them. Aiden stopped. A broken section dropped into a lower deck, sparking with electricity. We have to jump, he said. Lyrie shook her head weakly. I cannot. My legs, they feel like stone. Aiden didn't think twice. He turned, lifted her gently into his arms, and leaped. They fell onto the lower deck with a heavy thud. Aiden winced in pain, but kept holding her until she stood. The deck lights flickered nervously. Lyrie looked at him with wide silver eyes. Why risk everything for me? Aiden tried to smile. Because you deserve someone who doesn't run. Someone who stays. She opened her mouth to speak, but a loud crash echoed behind them. A hunter dropped through the broken vent. Another climbed down the wall like a spider. Lyrie reached for her powers again. Nothing happened. The toxin inside her bloodstream was spreading too fast. Aiden, go, she whispered. I cannot use my power. I will only slow you. Aiden stepped in front of her. Then I'll be your power. The hunters charged. Aiden grabbed a metal pipe from the floor. It was heavier than the wrench, but he lifted it anyway. Fear shook his body, but something stronger pushed him forward. He met the first hunter head-on. The pipe slammed into its chest, sparks bursting in every direction. The creature stumbled, but not far. Its claws lashed out, slicing Aiden's shirt and cutting his shoulder. Blood dripped down his arm. Lyrie gasped. Aiden! I'm fine, he shouted, even though the pain was burning. The second hunter crawled toward Lyrie. Aiden turned and swung again, smashing its arm. The creature shrieked and fell sideways. Lyrie looked at him in disbelief. Humans are not supposed to be this brave. Aiden panted. Maybe he met the wrong humans. The first hunter rose again, angrier than before. Aiden readied the pipe, but his arms were shaking. He was running out of strength. Then Lyrie stepped forward, weak, trembling but determined. She placed her hand on his back. Aiden, I trust you. Those words lit something inside him. His fear changed into fire. He charged. The pipe struck the hunter's face, breaking its mask-like shell. The creature collapsed with a hiss. Aiden dropped the pipe, exhausted and bleeding. Lyrie held his arm, steadying him. Her voice trembled with emotion. You protect me, even when I cannot protect myself. Aiden looked into her dimming silver eyes. And I'll keep doing it, as long as I'm alive. For the first time, she did not hide her feelings. Aiden, I do not want you to leave my side. Before he could answer, more heavy footsteps thundered in the distance. More hunters were coming. Lyrie squeezed his hand. We must reach the core chamber. It is our only chance. Aiden nodded. Then let's go. Together. Aiden and Princess Lyrie ran through the shaking halls, following the glowing signs leading to the core chamber. The ship was falling apart, lights dying, walls cracking, alarms screaming. Every few seconds, distant roars from shadow hunters shook the air. Lyrie leaned heavily on Aiden. Her legs were weak. Her wings dragged behind her like tired shadows. "Aiden," she whispered, "I do not think I can walk much longer." "You don't have to," he said, wrapping his arm around her waist, holding her steady as they moved. "Just stay with me." Her silver eyes softened. "You always say that." "Because I mean it." They reached a large metal door with a glowing lock. Aiden typed his engineer code, hand shaking, praying it still worked. The door slowly slid open, revealing a bright chamber filled with clean air and a tall, ancient device, the Starheart weapon. It stood like a crystal tower with rings of light floating around it. Lyrie's skin reacted instantly, glowing faintly. The toxin inside her weakened as the chamber purified the air. But the weapon itself hummed dangerously, like a heartbeat ready to explode. Lyrie stepped forward, but staggered. Aiden caught her again. "You shouldn't get close," he said. "I must," she replied. "The hunters will not stop unless this weapon is awakened again. Only I can do it." Aiden frowned. "But every time you use it, it takes your life away." Lyrie looked at him with a deep sadness. "My life was never mine. I was born for this role." Aiden shook his head. "No, you're more than a tool. You're more than a weapon." Lyrie touched his cheek gently. Her fingers were cold. "Then why do you care so much for me?" she whispered. Aiden froze. The truth was heavy inside him, sitting in his chest since the moment he whispered those forbidden words. Because she was lonely. Because she was brave. Because she carried the galaxy alone. Because he saw a person inside the princess. Because Aiden breathed, "You matter to me more than you think." Lyrie's eyes widened, soft, silver, emotional. "Aiden, I have felt something too. Something I was never allowed to feel." "What?" he asked quietly. "Attachment," she whispered. "To you." Before he could answer, the chamber door exploded behind them. Shadow hunters poured in. Lyrie turned to the Starheart weapon. "Aiden, the weapon will only activate with a bond of truth. A real connection. Something pure." Aiden stepped beside her without hesitation. "Then use my truth," he said. "I'm here. With you." Lyrie placed her hand over the glowing crystal. Aiden placed his hand over hers. A brilliant light burst through the chamber. The hunters screeched and backed away in terror. Lyrie whispered, voice shaking with emotion, "Aiden, my heart hears yours." The Starheart responded instantly. A blast of pure silver energy erupted in all directions, silent, bright, unstoppable. The hunters were erased in seconds. But Lyrie collapsed. Aiden caught her before she hit the floor. "Lyrie, stay with me." Her eyes fluttered weakly. "Aiden, your truth saved us." He held her tightly, desperate. "Don't leave me, please." Her voice was barely a breath. "Do not fear, Aiden. I heard your wish and I felt it too." Then her eyes closed. Aiden's heart broke. But the story wasn't over. Aiden held Princess Lyrie in his arms as the bright silver energy faded from the core chamber. The Starheart weapon stood silent now, its rings of light slowly dimming. The hunters were gone. The ship was safe. But Lyrie was motionless, too still. Aiden pressed his forehead against hers. "Lyrie, please open your eyes. Please." Her breathing was soft, almost silent. The Starheart had drained the last bit of her royal energy. Aiden refused to let her go. He lifted her gently and carried her out of the chamber. Smoke filled the halls. Alarms echoed, and crew members rushed past, gasping when they saw the unconscious princess in his arms. Guards surrounded him. "What happened?" "Step back, human," one shouted. Aiden didn't stop walking. His voice was firm, stronger than ever. "She needs clean air and medical support." "Move!" His courage startled them. They stepped aside. Aiden brought her to the healing bay and placed her on a glowing recovery platform. Machines hummed softly, scanning her broken energy pathways. A healer approached, shaking her head. "She has nothing left. Her life force is almost gone." Aiden clenched his fists. "Then take mine." The healer froze. Humans cannot. Try, he said. Please. Something in his voice, something raw and desperate, made the healer hesitate, then obey. She connected Aiden's hand to Lyrie's through a thin beam of light. It shouldn't have worked. Humans and her kind were too different. But the moment their hands touched, Lyrie's fingers twitched. Her silver eyes opened slowly. Aiden gasped, tears filling his eyes. Lyrie, you're awake. She looked at him, confused but alive. Her voice was soft like the morning light. Aiden, why are you crying? Because I thought I lost you. She lifted her hand weakly and touched his cheek. You stayed beside me, even when my own guards did not. Aiden breathed shakily. I told you, I won't leave. The healer stepped back quietly, understanding this moment was not for her. Lyrie sat up slowly. Her strength was returning, but her eyes were emotional, more open than he had ever seen. You whispered a wish, she said softly. A wish you thought no one heard. Aiden looked away, embarrassed. I didn't mean for you to hear that. But I did, she whispered, and in the darkest moment it gave me strength. Aiden blinked. It did. Lyrie reached out and took his hand, this time by choice. Aiden Reed, she said, voice steady. You protected me with your life. You saw me not as a princess, but as someone who needed someone. Aiden swallowed hard. I just follow my heart. Lyrie smiled, soft, warm, real. And now, I will follow mine. She moved closer, her wings glowing faintly. I heard your wish, she whispered, and I choose you. Aiden's heart stopped for a moment. Choose me? Yes, she said simply. Walk beside me, not as a servant, not as a soldier, but as the one I trust and the one I want. The door behind them opened. The alien court guards and officials stared in shock. But Lyrie didn't let go of his hand. She faced them all with royal pride and declared, This human saved our kingdom, and he holds my heart. Any who oppose him oppose me. The room fell silent. Aiden looked at her, stunned. She smiled at him gently. Your whisper changed my fate, she said. And now our story begins.